on. Father, let that same love be here right now in this moment that will carry us to the next level that you have for us. And that this state be an example not only for our country, but for the whole world to see that there is unity when there is love. Father, we love our children. We love the education for our children, and we will fight for it till the end. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen and amen. Thank you. I have the honor to present the first speaker, a woman of a great heart and a gentle spirit. I want to introduce Karina Lipsman. Let's give an applause.
Good afternoon. What a beautiful day to be a Virginian. And how honored are we to have such an amazing crowd here today. Parents, family members who care about education, who care about children. My name is Karina Lipsman, and I'm running for Congress in Virginia's 8th District. Education is near and dear to my heart. I was born in Odessa, Ukraine, when it was still under the Soviet regime. I've experienced true socialism. I've experienced what it looks like to have children indoctrinated. I've experienced what inflation looks like. I've experienced what weaponization of police looks like. And my mother brought me here. She brought me here for the freedoms and opportunities and to live the American dream. And that's what we all want. We want the American dream. I'm a product of the public school system, and not just any public school system, the Baltimore County public school system. I survived. And I went on to go to a public university, Towson University, got my bachelor's degree in economics. I put myself through college. I worked full-time while attending school. I did not take student loans out. I then went on to receive my master's in engineering from Johns Hopkins University. One of the most prestigious universities in the country. An immigrant, a refugee, was able to achieve this. Why can't the average person achieve the same thing here in the United States, the greatest country in the world? Parents know what's best for their children. Parents are there to parent, teachers are there to teach. They're there to teach how children should think, not what they should think. And we need to work together, teachers, parents, school boards, we all need to work together because ultimately it's for the benefit of our children. That's who's at stake here, our children. This is the future of our country. Raise the standards in education. Allow parents to participate in the curriculum. And let us have transparency into what happens in the hallways. It's not up to the school boards. It's not up to the principals to pick and choose what they want to share and what they don't want to share. Parents deserve to know they have a right. It's their children. And they're sending their children to school because they know their child is going to be safe. They know their child is going to be taught how to read, how to write, how to learn arithmetic, and how to learn science. That's what they're there for. So I commend our governor, Governor Youngkin, for all his leadership and everything he's done to give the voice back to the parents. And I encourage you to visit karinaforcongress.com to learn more about me and my campaign. We're going to make history happen in the 8th District. This is our year. thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for caring as much as you do. And now I'd like to introduce the candidate for the 11th District, Jim Miles.
Great. Put that up just a little bit. Can everybody see me? All right, well, hello, everybody. Boy, this is great. A beautiful day in back to school. That's a rite of passage for all of us here today, isn't it? Kids, adults, parents. But have you noticed things are a little bit more expensive this year going back to school? So I thought that was funny. My wife, Deborah's out here somewhere. I'd like to recognize her for all the help she's done. Yeah. And again, my name is Jim Miles. I'm running for Congress here in the 11th Congressional District of Virginia. And first, I just want to, I know we're all anxious for Governor Youngkin to come up and speak, and I want to thank him for his leadership. I have a child here in Fairfax Public Schools and appreciate what he's done, and the Lieutenant Governor and Attorney General here as well. So I'd like to thank all of them and look forward to that. I have to admit to you, my excitement this year is a little less than it's been in the past. I look at our public schools, Fairfax schools, and they're failing us. We've lost 10,000, almost 10,000 student test scores way down. Children are no longer reading and writing at grade level. In fact, we tried to pull our son out of Fairfax County Public Schools, but we couldn't find a private school that we could afford, and that's really sad. And I think a lot of you have probably been through similar experiences, and that's why we need school choice, and we need school choice now. But the problem here is a failure of leadership in our public schools. They're more interested in political indoctrination, sexualization, and pressure for gender identities. And these issues, they just don't really belong in our public schools. Not at all. Yeah. And I tell you, as a former, I was a United States, a federal administrative law judge, and I heard a lot of children's claims. And the thing that stuck out to me, the one constant, is parents. Parents are the key to the mental and physical and the general well-being of their children, not the public schools. It's got to be the parents, and that's who we need to rely on. And just a quick comment, I think as a former judge, I think legally our public schools, they have no legal rights to be involved in the health of our children. They're there to educate them, not work on their health. Yeah. And I think related to that, you see the shortage of teachers and just general manning. I think it's just because teachers are afraid of this radical, social, progressive ideology that's being imposed in our schools. And they're leaving, and I think they're going to other schools or just retiring. I think that's really sad. And that hurts all of the children, and that hurts all of us across all demographics, across all political parties. And we need to try to keep excellent teachers in our schools, and we can do that by restoring an environment that fosters academic excellence, not politicalization of our children. I also just have to make a comment. We've all seen this intervention in our child's health behind parents' backs pushed by the Fairfax County Public Schools and their teacher training. And that is just a horrible thing to do. This is just going to create problems in our children. They're going to be leading secret double lives behind their parents' backs, and how that's causes irreparable harm to our children and our families. And we need to stop that, and we need to stop that immediately. And I would say any school personnel that get involved in the health of our children without parental consent need to be held accountable, and we could just no longer tolerate that in our public schools. Yeah. Whatever we need. I just add my opponent. He stands with the teachers' unions, and he stands with federal law enforcement that's going after parents that are just trying to protect their children from this radical and dangerous agenda that they want to impose on our public schools. I'm a parent, you're parents, and parents matter. And together we can restore safety and academic excellence here in our Fairfax County Public Schools. And that's what I stand for. Yeah. So please vote for me, Jim Miles, on November 8th. Together, we can protect our children. We can get rid of the teachers' unions' influences and indoctrinations and the federal government imposition, and we can restore quality of education here in Fairfax County. And protecting our children, that's what this election is all about. Don't be fooled by any of the other side issues. This is about our kids. So thank you, Governor Youngkin, and thank you all of Fairfax County. This is our year.
All right, hello, Virginia. What a wonderful day to send our kids back to school in person and unmasked. Something I learned as a young child as we escaped Vietnam. My parents taught me this very valuable lesson, that money and position in life can be taken away in the snap of a finger. But what can never be taken away is the knowledge that's in your head. That's why they strive to push us for education. That was the most important thing in our family. We strived for it, we sacrificed for it, and we reached for it. And that's what education's all about. It's opportunity. So I grabbed onto that opportunity. I grabbed onto the American dream. I grabbed on with both hands. I went to this small school that just started up called Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. We were the very first class to graduate from there. And half of my classmates are now being addressed as doctor. That's how brilliant my classmates were. I went to this other school called the United States Naval Academy. I got my master's from Naval Postgraduate School in physics. I went to Harvard, I went to MIT. But guess what? I paid back every single dime of that education through my service to this country. I fought in Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Pakistan. I went to the Balkans. I fought for 25 years in special operations because things like freedom and liberty and choice and where we live, those things are worth fighting and dying for. But you know what? When I came back from the battlefields, there's this old enemy that crept in, and I know that enemy. I know it from many names. The enemy goes through by socialism, Marxism, communism, and now it disguises itself by calling itself equity. It goes against the very fabric of our country, and I will not stand for it. And so battle lines are drawn. The battle lines are drawn, and the battlefield is our schools. And the victims are our children. And so in any military operations, there's the supported commander and a supporting commander. And in this battle, it's going to be the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the attorney general. That's the supported commanders. And we, the members of Congress, will be the supporting commanders to take the political agenda out of the classroom, to take the teachers' unions out of the school boards. Ladies and gentlemen, I know what it's like to wake up one day without a country to call your own or a flag to stand under. And I'll be darned if that ever happens to us, our children, and our children's children. These are dark times, but this is when the light shines the brightest. We can do it. We, Virginia, will stand up and say enough. Enough of indoctrinating our children, enough of fighting against the parents, enough of taking the parents out of classrooms. Enough. Enough with this liberal ideology and this wokeism. The time is now. The time is now for us to bring back the values of America. Bring it back here, right here in Northern Virginia, where we can fight for it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hung Cao. I'm the next congressman in the 10th District. But now, I want to introduce a very, very wonderful woman, Lieutenant Governor, well, she should be a general, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears. Do you want this?
Well, how are y'all doing out there? That's right. We are here for the children. That's what this is about. So I'm going to get right to it. When we hire a realtor, what do we want? Well, we're setting certain expectations. We want to know how long you've been doing this. What's your experience? Because we're looking for success, right? And when we hire a doctor and he tells us it's surgery, we want to know, how long have you been doing this? What is the likelihood of success? What are the expectations? So, how about our schools? If we're shopping around for plumbers and doctors and realtors, why can't we shop around for schools? And if we're shopping around for wedding plumbers, wedding planners and mechanics, furniture stores and car dealerships, why can't we shop for schools? We're shopping around for landscapers, even the best places to eat lunch and coffee. And we can't shop around for the best schools for our children? I don't think so. I don't think so. But we shop around, kind of, for schools when we shop for zip code. Yes, because we want to know, what are the schools like in this zip code? And then we hire a school board from among our ranks. Hopefully, they're all about education, the 3 R's. But we're finding out that once they get there, it's about something else. No. That's not what we hired you for. We're setting high expectations, students first, and we're demanding success. That's what we want. It is not the other way around. And let's be clear, this is not about harassing teachers. No, because you know who shops for schools too? Teachers. Teachers are shopping for the best places to work. So, parents, we're not tipping around through the tulips when it comes to our children's education. If we were, we're not anymore. We're not worshiping a brick building anymore. No. This is the new Brown versus Board of Education fight. This is the new fight. School choice now. We're done fighting our own government. We chose these people from among us, and now they're going to lord it over us. We have parental rights. When did we parents abrogate our responsibilities to see that our children would be successful? That would be never. So, parents, we've got a simple question. We're setting expectations, and we're demanding success. And we're looking at the report. Got a new report here from Governor Glenn Youngkin's office. He's just governor, and already we've got a report on our schools. That's keeping campaign promises. That's what that's called. And what do we know? That by the time our children are in the 4th grade in Virginia, the SOLs say 25% of them have failed reading. Oh, so you don't know the report. Because, you know, the data doesn't lie, and they tell us to follow the science. So according to the science, the NAEP score says it's not 25%. The SOLs say 25%. The NAEP score says 62% have failed reading, and it gets worse. When you dive down into the numbers, it shows the SOLs say by the 4th grade, black children, only 38% of them have failed reading. The NAEP score says it's 81. There's an honesty gap. That's what the governor's report has said. So, here's the deal. I told you. I'm with you. The governor's with you. We're all with you. Want school choice? We want it now. We're not asking. It's our tax money. And we've set expectations. And we just want them. We want them to learn because, you know, life is going to quickly tell them if they're a success or if they're a failure. And they're going to need a good education. There's no fudging the numbers. This should be about expectations and success. So, what are the graduation rates in this school? What happens after the child leaves? How successful will my child be in attending the school? And here's the question we have to start asking. How will you protect my parental rights? Or another way, are you going to separate me from my child? Are you going to tear my family apart? That's the question. My God. Well, not anymore. Because all the other stuff, if it's not reading and writing and math and science and technology, it's just stuff. It's just stuff. It's not going to do anything. So, the money must follow the child. The money must follow the child. We are not surrendering our children. We are not surrendering our children. They must have a hope and a future. They must have skills so that they can compete, so that they can create generational wealth. This is the new Brown versus Board of Education fight, and we have an Attorney General who's going to help us with that fight. And so, please, welcome our Attorney General. Jason Miyares.
Virginians, listen, you're here because you're a patriot. You're here because you're concerned. You could be anywhere else. And we've had a great 7 months. I joke with Glenn and Winsome that I swore after we got sworn in on January 15th, I could overheard in the Capitol over the intercom cleanup on aisle 7. Because I feel like a lot of what we've been doing is cleaning up and empowering parents. And that's been such a huge, huge message in our campaign. You know, there's those moments in the campaign when you realize you had a good chance to win, and we were at the Old Town Marketplace in Alexandria, and it was packed. And I remember a mom came up to me, and she says, you know, I've never voted Republican my entire life, but I'm voting Republican this year. And I said, do you mind telling me why? And she said, because you have a lot of politicians and a lot of school board members that have forgotten a really important truth. Never, ever, ever get between a mother and her child. And I just said, yes, ma'am, I won't forget it. And neither has the governor. Within an hour of us being sworn in, he signed a series of executive orders that empowered parents. One of which was saying you get to decide as a parent whether your child's going to wear a mask in school or not. And I got to tell you, it crystallized for me how important that was. After we won the case in Loudoun, a mom called me, and she said, you know, I just want you to know how excited my 9-year-old daughter was when she heard, because now tomorrow, for the very first time, she gets to see what her best friend in school actually looks like. What have we done with our kids? I did a tour of Hilton High School in Prince William County, and the principal said, you know, we're allowing our juniors to go to prom this year as a reward. And I said, wow, okay, what did they do that was so great? And he said, for our juniors, this year is their first year of high school. And so when you look at what has happened, the science is clear. Our kids are struggling. They've had such a challenge with mental health. And that begins in so many ways of getting them back in school and also making sure that parents make the decision on whether they're going to be wearing a mask or not. That's the pledge from this governor with the legislation he signed. That's my pledge to you as Attorney General. You know, I like to say as Attorney General that I'm the people's protector, and one of that is making sure we have safe schools. And this governor signed an historic budget that has put hundreds of new school resource officers in our school to protect our kids. That's the good news. The good news is this governor ended Ralph Northam's policy in which they voted to stop the mandatory reporting requirement of sexual assault in schools. This governor ended that, reversed that policy. The bad news is we have some schools up here in Northern Virginia that still won't put SROs in our schools. So that's why our school board races matter so much. And that's why you need to be, as a concerned citizen, calling and telling your school boards, we want SROs in our schools, we want safe schools. That's going to be critical. But listen, I think it's important. Part of my role as Attorney General is being the people's protector, and also means those that are being right now discriminated against by their government. You know, I like to say that the world's oldest form of bigotry is anti-Semitism. But the only state-sanctioned form of bigotry right now is anti-Asian bigotry. And you're seeing that right now at Thomas Jefferson High School. Well, up till last year, TJ had a really, quote, radical admissions policy. You know what it was? If you had the grades and you had the scores, you could get in. And then we had some folks that decided, well, even though it's a minority-majority high school, it's the wrong minorities. And they instituted a policy that led to over a 20-point drop in Asian American enrollment in less than a year. Folks, my pledge to you, it's why I've stood with the coalition and the concerned parents for TJ, is no child in America, no child should ever have their dreams or their aspirations denied because of who they are. That's my pledge to you as your Attorney General. I know why education is important, because as anybody who's the child of an immigrant, you understand it. My mother's dream was to be a doctor in Cuba. She wanted to be the first female doctor of her family. That was taken away from her because the socialists had taken over and told her, we don't need you to be a doctor. You have to be a teacher. And so she had her dreams dashed. And that is the dream of so many of the immigrants that come to this country. They're giving up their future dreams so their child can achieve what they never could. And they live in a land that gives them an opportunity they never had. And that pathway has always been through education. It is our pledge as your governor and lieutenant governor to make sure that pathway is always open to them. You know, an Italian immigrant, when they first laid eyes on the Statue of Liberty, they said that is the greatest light the world has ever seen since the Star of Bethlehem. I feel that in my bones. We are a unique and noble and decent country. And so that's my pledge to you. You are also blessed with the most extraordinary governor in the entire country. A man who is, people ask me all the time, what is Glenn like? I say he is an amazing combination of two traits. He is uncommonly decent, a man of deep faith, but he has a steel spine. He is your governor, my friend. Please welcome the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin.
Hey, how's everybody? You guys doing okay? All right, everybody's good? Bless you, sir. thank you all so much for coming out today. And on an afternoon, coming after school, thank you. I hope you guys had a great day in school and learned all kinds of great stuff. You know, one of the most important things that we all are blessed with as parents are the people standing behind me. And so we want to thank all of you for being such a blessing in our lives. Thank you all. Thank you. So much fun to be in Northern Virginia today. I just want to remind you all about Northern Virginia. One, it's where I lived for a long time. But last year, nearly 1,000 people gathered together in Fairfax County, ignited by an instance where a young woman was assaulted in one of our Northern Virginia school districts. Last year, the Department of Justice decided that they were going to investigate parents as domestic terrorists for showing up at their child's school board meeting to express real concerns about schools being open to in-person education and, oh, by the way, concerns about what they were being taught. Last year, parents across the Commonwealth of Virginia and across our nation recognized that their students, their children, were being taught things that they didn't agree with. Last year, we saw Northern Virginia schools wait until August to have everybody back in person in the classroom. And last year, we saw radical politicians say that parents had no right to determine what was being taught in their children's classroom. Well, all of you and many, many, many others across the Commonwealth of Virginia stood up and said, enough, enough. You stood together. You stood together because what matters most is what's behind me. You stood together because we all recognized the core truth in our children's education. Parents matter. That's what we concluded. It was a defining moment last year. It was a defining moment for education. It was a defining moment for parents. It was a defining moment for students. It was a defining moment for teachers. It was a defining moment that will not just forever shape our current students' lives, but it was a moment that will shape the lives of future generations of Virginians. I have to tell you, when you all honored me by hiring me and Winsome and Jason and giving us a majority in our House of Delegates and electing sheriffs and local representatives across the Commonwealth of Virginia, you made a statement that you expected us to go to work for you. And we went to work on day one. We went to work on day one. We took a giant step forward with Executive Order number 1 that says we will not have inherently divisive concepts used to teach our children, and we still can teach all history, the good and the bad, all of it, all of it. Executive Order number 2 reaffirmed your rights as parents to make decisions for your kids. Executive Order number 4 authorized an investigation of the Loudoun County School Board by our Attorney General. We had so many of our friends carry legislation for us that passed on a bipartisan basis Senate Bill 739 that empowered parents to make decisions with regards to the fact if their child wants to wear a mask or doesn't want to wear a mask. Senate Bill 656 that said if the materials in the school are sexually explicit and you don't agree with them, you can request an alternative set of materials, empowering parents further. We passed the Virginia Literacy Act. The Virginia Literacy Act brought a whole new framework to educating children how to read, K through 3rd literacy. How about that for a concept, Madam Lieutenant Governor? And we passed the largest budget, and I had the great privilege of signing it, for education. Teacher raises, funding for schools. Oh, by the way, lab schools that introduce choice within the public school system. We reestablished the tax credit scholarship funds so that families can choose to go outside the public school system. And oh, by the way, as Jason said, $45 million to make sure that there can be a school resource officer present in high schools and in middle schools and every other elementary school across the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I believe there should be a school resource officer in every school in Virginia. And as the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, we were able to shine a bright light on the basic falsehood that had been spread, that Virginia's kids were doing just fine in school. And the reality is that when they lowered standards and lowered expectations year after year after year, Virginia's kids suffered. And so we are committed. Our commitment to Virginians is to reestablish excellence in education. Excellence in education. We went to work on day one. Friends, this is all about empowering parents. This is all about addressing your concerns. This is all about safety in schools, curriculum in schools, the decline in standards, and reestablishing expectations of excellence. We can raise the ceiling and the floor. We can do both. Together, we're doing just that. Restoring your rights, the freedom to parent as you see fit. So we've made great progress. We've made great strides, but we still have a lot of work to do, because once again, Northern Virginia has become ground zero, once again. Despite the resounding statement made by Virginians last year, we see teachers' unions, we see political partisans right here in Fairfax County trying to stop parents' progress to regain their right, their fundamental right to make decisions for their children. Forcing masks back in schools. That's right. Let me just be clear. There are some right here in Fairfax County that actually believe that 2.5 years after the pandemic, that they can again mandate masks back in schools. Well, let me be clear. They must not have gotten the real memo, because Virginia law is clear. And let me just tell you, the bill that was sent to my desk and that I signed permits the parent of any child in the public school system enrolled across the Commonwealth of Virginia to elect for such child to not wear a mask on school property. Full stop. That's it. That's it. If there's any confusion, that's in Virginia law. And oh, by the way, I think it's really important because the crafters of this bill on a bipartisan basis added very clearly, no parent making such an election shall be required to provide a reason. No parent making such an election should be required to certify whether their child has any reason for this. And no child whose parent has made this decision should face adverse disciplinary or academic consequences. Folks, they're protected to make sure that you can exercise your rights. No doubt. These same progressives in Fairfax County actually believe that they should lock parents out of their children's lives. They think that parents have no right to know what your child is discussing with their teacher or their counselor, particularly when some of the most important topics that a child may want to discuss are being determined. What's their name? What pronoun will they use? How are they going to express their gender? This is a decision that bureaucrats in Fairfax County believe that they should be able to make without telling parents. We have to recognize that we have to meet every child where they are. That every child deserves a parent's full understanding what's going on in their lives and a parent's involvement in these decisions. We also have to recognize the reality that teachers play such an extraordinary role. But I will say, thank you, because I agree wholeheartedly. I cannot believe that bureaucrats and administrators can tell teachers to engage in these discussions and allow these decisions to be made without informing a parent. Cannot happen. Cannot happen. And by the way, across the Commonwealth of Virginia in November, Virginians said enough. And here we are again. And so with every ounce of my authority as governor, and I know with every ounce of her authority as lieutenant governor and every ounce of his authority as attorney general, we're going to go to work in order to protect parents' rights and to make sure that there's transparency, to make sure that parents are fully informed, and that parents make these most important decisions in conjunction with their child, not a bureaucrat, a politician. So, here we are, about 7.5 months since January 15th. I've said this everywhere I've gone, and I will say it again. Thank you for hiring me, and thank you for hiring this great team. Thank you. Thank you. We have a ton of work to continue to do. Relentless. Relentless is what we will be. But that requires all of us together to get this done. And let's remind ourselves why we're doing it. It's for the future of our children. That's why we're going to work. Thank you so much for giving up time on your busy schedules to come out here and focus on what's most important in Virginia, our children. Parents matter. God bless you. God bless the Commonwealth of Virginia. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.